We've got a lot to get through, so it is 11 o'clock, and I guess we'll get started. So, just briefly, make that go away. We're on the spot. We are a history, where we started out as a history walking tour app, but we've expanded to our tours to cover all kinds of different subject matter, ranging from public art to tourist attractions to pretty much anything you can think of. And I'll be getting into some of that today here. And over the past 10 years, we started in 2016 in Vancouver. And over the past 10 years, we have since partnered with over 100 different communities across the country, and developed a range of different tours all over the place. And this map does need a little bit of more updating after some recent additions as well. But as you can see, we focus on Canada. We have a few partners in other countries, but Canada has been our main focus. And there is just an enormous potential to keep expanding this and across Canada, we found, and to make this make sure that On the Spot becomes Canada's de facto tour app, so that anyone who is traveling around Canada or wants to learn about their community can download the app and immediately go on free tours wherever they are. And learn about the history that surrounds them and the different cultural attractions and tourist attractions and everything around them. As I said, we started out as a history app, and our main partners that we envisaged were museums and historical societies. But since then, we have also found that our offerings really forward the goals of a whole range of different partners. These include business organizations like BIAs and chambers of commerce. These include destination marketing organizations and tourism, provincial and local and regional tourism organizations, and governments at both the local, regional, and provincial level. We've also partnered with some Indigenous organizations more recently, which has been a really exciting development and led to some of our most exciting projects that we've done in recent times, in the last year or so. So what I'm going to do is go through each of these types of partners and show some case studies, or go through some new capabilities that we developed that can really help them and help them advance their interests and get people excited. But first, I'll just start by a quick rundown of our bread and butter, which is the then and now photo historical walking tours. And what we do is, I believe a lot of you already know this, so I'll just go through this quickly. But when you open the app, we have a list of 100 cities. It shows you the closest city to you, and it sorts them by geographical proximity, or you can use the map. And we have for each city what we call these crossfades, where we go to a city, retake hundreds of historic photos, and then some of the best ones we edit them into these combined then and now photos. We blend them, crossfade them together as marketing materials and as prints that can be sold. And then once we have this huge collection of then and now photos that are mapped out, we chain those photo opportunities together into a walking tour, so that every stop on a tour, someone is standing in the footsteps of a historic photographer, and they can see what they saw and compare past and present. And then we try and write really engaging, informative, and comprehensive history to get people excited about learning about that community. So as you can see, we have the then and now slider, so people can compare. And we have this camera button, which I will come to more soon. Now, I will say that, as you may have saw at the beginning, we have that we're on to On the Spot 2.0. Now, On the Spot 2.0 is just a whole series of new features and a complete rethink of the user interface, the design of the app, and the website. All of our material, all the content that we create for our projects is also mirrored on the website as well to, improve access and make it kind of more searchable and increase its impact. And so all of this will be changing and upgrading over the next couple months. And it's a really exciting time for us. So I look forward to showing you the new revamped both website and app in the next webinar that'll be coming up. But for now, this is what the app looks like. And also, I'll just draw your attention. I'll be covering this camera button a bit more later on. Um, yeah, so I guess the main thing also is with this comprehensive history. The other thing is, we are a history app that does, well, a history company that does technology rather than the other way around, or at least that's how I like to see it. I think my co-founder Chris, who does the technology, I don't say that too much in front of him, uh, but we are someone who we are a team that is very dedicated to doing high quality history, which is fairly rare, I would say, in this field. I think a lot of people, a lot of other app developers will just build a platform and then hope that someone else does the work of populating it. Whereas we have a team of photographers, researchers, writers who go to these communities and develop really high quality tours that we want to make, that is top level public history and can stand the test of time for years to come. A lot of history in most Canadian communities, at least below the major city level, was written in the 1960s and 70s, and is can be used can do some updating as well. So that's part of what we do as well, is what our partners ask of us, and what we are happy to do is finding those really engaging stories, making this great body of work for them, and then these tours that people can enjoy. They are broken down into a skimmer, dipper, diver approach. The skimmers being people who just want to look at the photos. The dippers are people who, if they see the photo and they are somewhat, they're interested in the theme of the photos. There's like a top layer of text, that they can read and then move on from. And if they want to get into it, then we have a much longer body of text beneath that. That is, hierarchically lower, and so people can either take it or leave it, and then beneath that we have all of our footnotes. In addition, we also host tours. So if you have tours, we can host them for you, of all kinds. We've also gone into video recording, editing, and creating video tours as well, or even short documentaries, which we've done for a couple partners. We also do audio narration for our tours. And we can do this multilingually. We've done a number in French and German and Chinese. We also have audio driving tours, which we have developed a few of them lately. I'm seeing if anyone's here that we just developed one for Dawson Creek on the Alaska Highway, which was really fun. But they will play their hands-free. They will play as you drive along the route and tell you about what you're driving past and the history of the region. We also do 360 virtual tours, which I will show you in a bit. We also make apps. We just recently created 2 apps. Well, Chris kind of did all the heavy lifting on those. But in the experience of developing those apps, taught us an enormous amount, and is also helping us. We developed all these new features, or he developed all these new features that we are porting into on the spot, and that's something that we are really excited about, and is kind of one of the key components of On the Spot 2.0. We also do a lot of drone work, and yes, of course, translation. So how can digital tours help you? And so I'm just going to go through all of our different main kind of types of partners that we have, and I've just included just sort of a random selection of some of our partners that fall into each of these categories. For museums, these seem to us the most obvious partners for us. Their aim is, when how we can help with our digital tours, is to mobilize local interest in history. We want to get give museums a way that people can a tool that they can offer to people, where locals can come back to the museum if they've already visited before and find a new experience that wasn't there before, and really get out in the community. Also, you're able to kind of conjure up historical walking tours using then and now photos, pretty much anywhere that these historic photos exist, and most of the time that is in the downtown, because towns used to be much smaller, and the community was centered around the downtown core, and so it makes it easy to suddenly turn just the outdoor area into a living museum exhibit. Even if all the buildings are gone, you can still. There's a number of cases where we developed tours on places where even like ghost towns and stuff, where we can line up, say, mountains in the background, and then roads and stuff, and create a digital, to show people what was once there and conjure up the past. A lot of our museum partners, especially, what they always say is people always come to us, they've gone to the museum and they're like walking around town, and now they're here for the day. They want something to do. And so they tell them to download the app, and here's a free tour you can take. That is a enormous benefit, and one of the main things. You can also do seasonal events, which is something that comes with our CMS, which I'll get into in a little bit, where if you want to host scavenger hunts, um, uh, um, sort of cooperations with business, that kind of thing. Um, we can also use virtual tours to prompt people to plan a museum visit. And we can also do audio museum guides that people can listen to as they walk around a museum. Now, a lot of major museums, in Europe and stuff, have these kinds of guides where, they have you download an app or even buy like a headset as you're walking around, and you can scan a number or whatever. Well, we can do that in our app. We're able to do that as well. And then another thing is, museums often want to shed lights on lesser known parts of Canadian history. Say one of our largest project we've done to date was a project for the Canada First World War Internment Recognition Fund, because this was an organization set up by the government of Canada to commemorate the more or less widely forgotten First World War internment operations, where mostly Ukrainian men were sent to internment camps and forced to do forced labor building Canada's national parks and highways. And we developed tours at about 28 of these sites across Canada, and in a whole, from Halifax to Nanaimo. And that was a major project, and we were able to centralize all those different tours into a single portal on the app and on our website. And there, people can, each of these tours focuses on a different major aspect of that story. And so people can kind of get like a pretty good full picture of this largely forgotten aspect of history. And they can also visit the sites as well and take these tours, of course. And then a lot of our partners, say they just have archival collections. They just spent, done this enormous effort, backbreaking labor, digitizing thousands and thousands of photos. And now they're sitting on a website that not that many people access, not that many people are aware about. Maybe they'll pop up on, Facebook groups and stuff sometimes. And they want to get them out there. They want to let people in the community see what the history was, and what also reflect their own work digitizing these. And so we're able to go out and recreate these photos for them, and on the spot create a bunch of art with these prints as well, creating prints with them, and that museums can sell and in their gift shops, and we can really bring those to light. So these are just some of the reasons that these museums have worked with us in the past, and are continuing to work with us today. And I will say a lot of these explanations I'm going through apply to all the different. There's a lot of overlap here. I had to kind of split some hairs to split up, museums and heritage societies from BIAs and all their motivations. But there's an enormous amount of overlap, which means that this kind of storytelling really works to advance the ball on everyone's goals. So as regarding those virtual tours and museum guides, well, here's an example of one we did for the Toronto Railway Museum. This is a bit of an older virtual tour wrapper, and it works. We have a different one in the app, and we're developing a number of them right now for the Gimli Glider Museum, which will be coming out very soon. But what you can see is, so it's available on the website. You can see, clearly they have some pretty good real estate in Toronto. This is to get people to plan a visit. They say, oh, I want to go see all this stuff.
Some 200 years ago, the land around you did not exist, but the need for railways to access downtown Toronto prompted civil engineers to fill in the shoreline.
Anyway, so you can see, we can also layer the audio on here. So the audio can be accessed either through the virtual tour, or if you have, say, a QR code, or if you have you have actual visitors there with headphones, you can have put out QR codes, and which they did here as well. And people can, experience that while they're walking around as well. So we're able to kind of layer all these different things together. The audio, video component, the virtual, we can do then and now photos overlaid on. Say we with the Gimli Glider Museum, we're taking a bunch of historic photos from the site of where the Gimli glider landed. There's kind of a long story, but it's a wonderful story. I encourage you to look it up if you haven't heard of it. And so I did virtual 360 shots all on the runway, and then we are layering on top of that all the historic photos taken from the same angle, and then layering on top of that different eyewitness accounts and stuff of that momentous event. So that's museums. Now, at first they kind of always put historical and heritage societies in the same basket as museums, but we have learned over the years that they do have some different some different requirements and needs, and this kind of this isn't the case across the board, but heritage and historical societies are often volunteer run by some really dedicated volunteers who have put in many, many thousands of hours. I've worked with a number of different members of historical societies who have just been blown away by work that they've done. And they have difficulty getting their work out into the public a lot of the time, unless there's someone who's really, it really depends on, the personnel. Also, a lot of the time they're quite a bit older and not as technologically adept. And it's harder for them to get young people involved with their work and get them excited about their work. And they also just they're because they're volunteer run, they do not often have a lot of revenue to work with. So what we want to do is help them get their work out there. And a lot of the time this means hosting tours that they've developed. And so this is one major one we just did with Steveston. So that everyone's able to contribute, and then we to their tour they can develop it. They may already be offering tours of their own, actually, and so this is a way for them to be able to host them permanently, so that say if they offer like an in-person tour once or twice a year, well, what we could do is we could record them, or they could record themselves giving that tour, and then we can host that for them. And also, we are making this a much very low cost barrier to entry for them. We want to make sure that anyone that wants to get on the app, if they have the material, we want to make sure that they can. And so we are it's a very low cost barrier to entry for hosting, and this is a way to once they the idea is to get them kind of building on the foundations of the materials that they have out already. So, or that they host for us. So if they have like a basic tour, we can host it for them. And then this will help drive more community interest, get more people on board, and hopefully activate some new volunteers. And then they can continue adding to that content and building upon it. And we hope to, we can, with these new portals that we're developing and our content management system that we are about to launch, we make this really easy for our partners, both to make have a portal for themselves, a website that they, can control, customize, and a section of the app, and be able to update it and improve it. So, Chris, so for that CMS, Chris developed this for our North Shore Culture Quest app. We developed this app it's a scavenger hunt app focused on the North Shore, and he built a very, very powerful and effective content management system. And I just have a little video here to show you just how simple it is to use, because what this means is that all our partners can we'll be transferring all of our content into these CMSs so that our partners can even the stuff that we develop for them, they can go in, they can edit it, they can update it, they can test new things, and do all kinds of different aspects. So for this is for the North Shore Culture Quest app, instead of breaking it down, we broke it down, the North Shore into different neighborhoods so that there's different neighborhood, and then there's quests instead of tours. And we will have scavenger hunts. And then so you're able to add everything's very modular, right? So you can add users, you can have sponsors, you can add your own achievements, you can tag things, add neighborhoods or just different themes, and then track all the players if they register. You can upload images and media and quests. And then so the idea is you can build a quest around your community and then just pull in all the different media that you want to it. You upload everything that you need and then it just select it. So for this Ambleside quest, we can endlessly customize this. The way that the scavenger hunt app works, I'll get a bit more into it later on. But we can, you have banner images. You can, you set the address either manually or on a map. And then you can add in the clues or in the case of tours, stops, one at a time. You can add in all the stops and then you can move them around between different quests. It's all, like I said, it's all modular. So you can just add in all your stops, all your images, everything that makes it, and then you can change the order. You can run them at different times. Whoops, oh no. Sorry, sometimes the videos on this get a little wonky. So there's clues, and yes, we just to clarify, we will have scavenger hunts. We're developing a number right now for a project we're doing in Trail, and this is something we'll be offering to all of our partners, and it's a great add-on as well. Anyway, so what else do I show here? Yeah, here you can add stuff. I don't think, and then you can publish changes. You can draft and test them on your own computer and app before you make them real. You can, I'll have all the different kinds of spots that you want, public art, history, and it'll like theme them according to that. Different icons, different colors. We're coming up with a kind of a fun color scheme for each different kind of stop and content. We're making the app a bit more colorful than it has been in the past. And one other thing is deriving revenue. So if historical societies want to derive revenue, there's two ways they can do this through our app. One is we are able to, we create, if we do a partnership where we come out and do crossfade images, or we do photography, we come out and do photography, we create crossfade images. When we come out and do a project, all the IP that we develop in the course of that, all the art we create, all the historical research we're writing, we don't own that. You own that. Our partners own that. We make no claim on it, but we develop all of this art and stuff, and then it's high quality prints, and you can sell them in your gift shop. We don't do the printing for you because we tried that. And it was a logistical nightmare when we're just a small company. But if you want to sell them in your store, you can. They are popular. We made a bunch for Vancouver. We went to all the art shops around Vancouver, and a number of them are carrying our prints, and they sell quite well. We also do postcards, that kind of thing. And we can develop this all for you. It's all included. And that's one way you can derive revenue. Another is we can charge for the tours in the app. Now, this is what our philosophy is. We want to make the most high quality history accessible to the widest possible audience, and we don't want to charge for it. However, we can, and if our partners ask us that, then you can set a price on it, say like $10 or something like that. You can put it up on TripAdvisor, all these different websites like that as an experience. And then if someone buys it, we'll take a cut, and but then you get the most, the great majority of that money that comes from that. And so you're able to sell these tours. And if you start doing this, say like, in as part of events, or you start promoting it in your community, you'll probably get an enormous amount of interest, and derive quite a bit of revenue from it. So that is something we're happy to do. And I've offered this to all of our partners for a while, but haven't had anyone take us up on it because most are just interested in, um, uh, making a free content available. These experiences available, but that is an option if you're there, if you're into it, and happy to discuss it. Next, so that's historical societies and museums. So that's the end of the heritage leg of this. Now we're getting to the business leg of this, which is first is tourism, destination marketing organizations. Now, we have an enormous range of tourism partners. Once again, there's just a small selection of them that we've worked with, and they come to us, and we have found great success promoting them because of these reasons. They want to create marketable experiences in the community, which is you can do. We want to engage potential tourists and prompt them to plan a visit, especially domestic tourists. Now, what we can do with this is because we have a single app that's covering 100 cities, the idea is when we have this large user base, whenever we add a new city to the app, everyone on the app can access it. And as we add more and more, it kind of creates this network effect. This is especially true for smaller communities that are near larger ones. So we have very significant and high quality content in places like Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto. But outside of those, there are a number of smaller communities that don't get as many tourists. Say in around Calgary, our first partner that we ever had was Strathmore. It's a bedroom community outside of Calgary. And we developed an enormous amount of content for them, all these tours. And as we did the same for Okotoks, which is just south of Calgary, and a whole range of others, Leduc around Edmonton. And so the idea is when people open the app in Edmonton or Calgary, and whenever we launch a new city, we do a press push where we get, especially in larger cities, we get a lot of success, getting media attention because we're able to leverage the art that we create in the process of a project. So we're able to get widespread media interest. And then people are like, wow, that's cool. They download the app and then they see, oh, cool, I can do this. I live in Edmonton. And then they see right next down the list, oh, wow, here's Okotoks. And they have 4 tours. Wow, okay, that's cool. And then they go and look and like, oh, wow, there's so much here. We're interested in paying a visit. So that network effect really works really well. We can also do multilingual focus. Now, this is, like I said, not just for, obviously for French, for domestic tourism, but also, particular markets that we're in, Chinese, and we did tours of Chinatown in Vancouver and Toronto, and we translated both of those into Chinese for our partners, so that, Chinese tourists can come and have learn about the community. We've done German and some smaller German, towns with that happen to have, like ski chalet towns that happen to have a lot of German tourists. And of course, I think we're in talks to do some Japanese as well. So there's a huge range of different languages, and we'd like to continue building on this. So we don't do AI translations; we have translators that we bring on. We also, for tourist attractions or for tourism DMOs, they want to highlight tourist attractions across the region. So there are, say, like most of our projects, I guess, that cover 2 different that are 2 tour size. What they'll do is we'll do like a downtown walking tour, and then we'll do a tour around some other major attraction outside the community. So in Stonewall, Manitoba, this is the Limestone Quarry Park, which is kind of a major tourist attraction. It's like a former limestone quarry that has really fascinating history. And a lot of the kilns, these huge kilns, are still preserved. And so we have a tour going around there, and we're able to restage really phenomenal photos. Or in our Dawson Creek project, where we just launched, like I said, we have an audio tour that accompanies people as they drive to the Kiskatna Provincial Park, about 30 minutes outside of Dawson Creek. And what we wanted to do is people, they go into the visitor center. They ask, what do I do here? I'm about to drive along the Alaska Highway. This is mile 0 of our Great Alaska Adventure. And what should we do in Dawson Creek as we start out? And they say, well, first you should do this walking tour, going around town. And second, you should you should go, the first 30 minutes of your, 1,500 kilometer journey or 2,200 kilometer journey, you should listen to this audio tour that tells you all about the Alaska Highway, and then stop in Kiskatna Provincial Park and take a look at this, one of the only remaining trestle from the original building of the Alaska Highway in 1942. So that way, we're able to highlight multiple attractions across the region. Another one we did with an audio driving tour was across the South Okanagan. So working with tourism or Visit South Okanagan a few years ago, we developed a tour that went through 8 different communities, from Peachland in the north to Osoyoos in the south. And what the idea was is that when people are driving south from Peachland, starting at the visitor center, because that's the onboarding point for most of these experiences, they would listen to descriptions of the history that they were driving by, the geology, geography, and then we would tell them about what was in the next community along the road. And we partnered with, in all 8 of those communities, each of them had a historical society or museum and a tourism organization, local tourism. So we partnered with all those organizations, worked with them to share these stories and focus on what makes each community unique, tell these stories, and then encourage people to stop in each community along the way, get out, walk around, and do some of the more tours, the local walking tours that we built in each of these communities. So that was a big win. Another thing is we want to create shareable experiences for visitors. They want people posting about it, and they want them, hashtags. They want sharing. They want people to share about it. And we have, I guess I don't talk about right away, but near the end I'll talk about. We got a cool idea. There's also scavenger hunts. I think so. People want to do fun, interactive experiences. Tourists are like, "Oh, what can I do around town?" And once again, this is our North Shore Culture Quest app that we built, and I'll show you a little bit of this.
Free app by North Band Arts that brings together thousands of cultural locations to create interactive culture quests. Simply pick your quest and follow the clues to collect letters at each location. Along the way, you'll get outside, have fun, and experience the art, history, and culture of Vancouver's North Shore. Once you have completed the clues, unscramble the letters to reveal a secret code word. Complete multiple tasks and quests.
Achievements, we'll be adding this into our app as well.
Step 1. Download the app. Available for free on iOS and Android. Open the app and log in to complete quests, track your progress, earn achievements, and see how you rated on the leaderboard.
So all of this we are porting into our app, and we're taking it a bit farther as well, and we're really excited about that. And we'll be launching all this. This is a key component of On the Spot 2.0 that is coming up in a few months' time. So as I showed you in the CMS, you're able to add achievements as well. So one of the things that we're able to do with the CMS is we're able to make it so that, say, if you complete a tour, you get an achievement. We could also make it so that the scavenger hunts run for a set amount of time. So, you can put a calendar date on it, and it can run for 30 days. Now, what this means is that you're able to partner with local businesses or whatever, and host a scavenger hunt, promote it around the community, and you can run this all through the CMS yourself. I mean, we're obviously there to help, but you can promote that scavenger hunt in your community, and then get people out and about competing to complete it. And once people complete it, they get an achievement in the app. So they can come to you afterwards, and you can see that they have completed it by seeing that they have the achievement, and then you can enter them for a prize draw or something like that. So it's really great for integrating into local events, especially in the summertime. Another thing that we're able to do is, we are some of the questions that we have. It's not just like multiple choice kind of clues. You have a variety of options. So there's in addition to multiple choice, there's you have clues based on questions and or video and audio clips. There's a then and now camera, so that's kind of our specialty. So what we did is we built in a then and now camera where it's like, this historic photo was taken within 100 meters. Here's this radius. Now walk around and figure out where this historic photo was taken. And if you're standing on the right spot when you take the photo using the camera and the app, then you get that right. And you don't get it right unless you standing in the right spot. And GPS on phones is very good now. And so that's like an additional layer of fun. Another is QR code scanning. So we've built a QR code scanner in our app. This serves multiple purposes, but one of them is that we can make it so that if you only can get a question right in a scavenger hunt if you scan a QR code. Now, what this means in effect is there's two different uses we can think of so far for this. Is one is you can partner with local businesses. You can make sure that people, if they go to a local business, they scan a QR code, then they can in order to complete a question, a trivia, or a scavenger hunt clue, then they get it right. Another thing is you can do it like geocaching, where we're looking at doing some trail tours for one of our partners, and these trails would be like we could hide QR codes in the woods, like geocaching, and make it like a fun treasure hunt, like an actually challenging treasure hunt that gets people out and about, and then you can do like actual real prizes if you want. So there's a lot of different potential for exploring on this scavenger hunt concept, and with the charging for stuff in the app, like you said, we want to make the history easily available and accessible. But we think, we could probably, based on our then and now photo tours and all the information that we've developed from these, we can have kind of parallel scavenger hunts as well. That's are challenging and stuff. We want to make them actually kind of hard, I think, or at least I want to try making some. I think that'll be fun. And then that gets people, we can charge for that as well. And, if they get it right, then maybe they can be entered into a competition as well. And that's something you could do as well. So scavenger hunts are pretty exciting. So that's covering some of the tourism benefits. And now we'll get into BIAs and business organizations. So these are like chambers of commerce. Major project that we just did was with the Duncan Cowichan Chamber of Commerce. We've done major projects with all these guys over the years. The idea is to get BIAs, obviously, the Chamber of Commerce, the idea is they want to get people spending money in local businesses, and helping improve local businesses. So what they want to do is encourage visits and especially foot traffic on shopping streets. Now, obviously, a historic walking tour going down around the downtown, where, generally, most of the historic buildings in a community are centered on that downtown, and most of the history is centered on the downtown. We're able to, that's there you are. It's all pretty straightforward how it benefits them. However, what they also want to do is get people wanting to come downtown and appreciating downtown and coming back and getting their friends out and having nights out and days out and stuff like that downtown. That is placemaking. They're creating a sense of place. So what this app does, or what our tours do, is with the history, it makes people appreciate the downtown more. And it also makes them, like, they appreciate the history that surrounds them. They can look up, learn about the architecture and stuff, know about, I had no idea this general store was here for, 100 years. And their family is still owned by the same family, that kind of thing. And they can also recreate, photos there as well, which I guess I keep alluding to, but I'll get to at the end. And then you can also draw attention to downtown attractions. So BIAs are often engaged in, one of the main things they do is public art and public beautification and stuff. So we can do public art tours. We do a number of mural tours. We've done statue tours. And we can also do just straight up tourist attraction tours, which I should have mentioned in the last segment. But in Sault Ste. Marie, we did a tourist attraction tour and a public art tour. And right now we are working on a project with Trail to get, build these, incorporate murals into our scavenger hunts, but in quite an interesting new way. So, and also, before I get into that, of course, gamified experiences, that is partnering with a series of local businesses to host their, to promote a scavenger hunt or a tour, but more likely a scavenger hunt. I know our partners as North Van Arts, they have partnered with all the local breweries in North Vancouver and created a brewery tour where you have to solve clues at all the different breweries. And then, you can scan QR codes at them in order to get the achievements. And in that case, you are able to, they're able to kind of, everyone's entered for a prize for, say, like a print or something like that. Prints that, we may have created for you in the process. So there's a whole range of different capabilities we have that are of interest to the downtown organization. So it's a gift, so I can't stop and start it. But so this is a clip from Aerify. They are a Montreal company that we are working with now to create augmented reality experiences that we are integrating into our tours for some murals we're doing in a project in Trail, British Columbia. And so we'll be able to start, we're working with them and we're kind of, they are a really exciting, cool company. And we're able to integrate, you scan a QR code, it brings up augmented reality, basically, that they design. And they're pretty good at what they do. They have a lot of partners around major corporations around North America and the world, it sounds like. So this will be, we can put this into our app and into your communities as well. And it does, obviously there's much, a lot more potential beyond just murals with this, with augmented reality, because, we have these then and now photos. We can conjure up the past. So that's something we're exploring as well. Now we're kind of getting into, so we've covered business, tourism, heritage. Now we are getting into kind of the connective tissue generally between all these partners and who wants to advance all these goals that I've just listed generally. They want to promote economic activity, and they want to promote, the arts and appreciation for history. So of course they do, but they also, this has come up a lot in our talks with local governments, is they want to get people, say if a community's grown really recently, there's a lot of new Canadians, or if there's students, they want them to learn about their surroundings. In Alberta, where a number of communities use our walking tours, these then and now photos, as part of their school curriculum. They teach it in grade 2, but they take all these kids out. They have iPads. The chaperones have iPads, and they show them the then and now photos. Kids love it. And then in high school, we have some schools in British Columbia that have incorporated the sort of this kind of public history we do of local communities into some of their IB classes in social studies. There's also and then UVic often has I don't know. I do a lot of lectures at UVic, or not a lot, but I do lecture sometimes at UVic's public history classes as well, because this is what we do. But so it makes sense for tours to be integrated into public history and educational programs, and so this is one of the reasons why these are some of our partners. And so what we find often is that we will partner with, we'll get interest, we'll talk to a museum, heritage society, or a tourism people, and we will say, here's what we can do. And then a light bulb clicks and they're like, oh, dude, the government will love this, because, we can also bring in all these other different partners in the community and start building it up. And oftentimes what we'll do is we'll start small with a small project, and we've lowered the threshold for how small a small project can be, so that, we want to, you can get your foot in the door really easily. And then we start, develop interest, and then we start bringing all these other community organizations in once they see, what we can do. And so that's a model that has worked really well in the past, and is something that may work really well in your community as well. So let's see, I believe, like say in Provost, Alberta, this is a fairly large project in a fairly small community, but we covered, we partnered with the museum, local churches, and a local, the Bodo archaeological site there. developed, obviously our usual then and now walking tours around the community. But then the provost government or the town facilitated this arrangement between the museum, the Rosenheim Church, and the Bodo archaeological site. It's a Buffalo Kill site, and we developed like an audio driving tour between them and like virtual tours at all of them, a drone based virtual tour. So we actually put a drone in the sky. So like around like the Toronto Railway Museum where you can move from one kind of 360 view to the next. So we can do that with drones in the sky. And so across this whole region, you can kind of zoom around, and it's kind of another layer that we can do between the on the ground then and now photos and other kinds of spots, and the map view, which is kind of boring. So that's a cool thing that we can do as well. But the government is often keen to get on board and kind of facilitate. It's a rising tide that raises all boats, and they like to see that, and so we're happy to help.
Morning.
I don't know. And this one, I thought. Anyway, okay. Before we get into that one, and so highlighting one of the projects we worked on majorly with the city of Duncan, which was facilitated by the Chamber of Commerce there, was the. I'm going a little bit over time here, but we'll be on time. We're getting. I'm getting close to the end. Was in Duncan, the totem pole project, and so what we did is they have the world's second largest outdoor collection of totem poles in Duncan, and so we worked with Cowichan tribes as well as the city and the Chamber of Commerce to do videos at each of these 40 totem poles. And since they're like 2 to 4 minute long videos, so we went out, filmed an enormous amount of stock footage around Duncan, and combined it with all the other stock footage I've gathered around British Columbia, and videos of the totem poles, and an enormous amount of historical material, and then did an enormous amount of research on totem poles. It was one of the most exciting projects and enlightening projects really I've ever done. And we at each of these 40 totem poles, they put a QR code on the plaque beside it, and this has means that they get a lot of play, and I'll show you that in a sec. But here, so we make videos like this.
Pole of Wealth. This is the Pole of Wealth by the eternal carver, Norman John. Wealth is a fundamental concept to the peoples of the Northwest Coast, but it came in many more forms than we might think today. Wealth was not simply material goods like blankets, food, or copper, but controlled of features of the land within each territory.
Anyway, obviously don't let us watch all that now, but I'd encourage you to go on our Duncan tour and check it out, because it's really fascinating. We've also, and then finally, one other group that we've worked with are Indigenous organizations. These are businesses and Indigenous governments, or the business arms of Indigenous governments, like Petroglyph. So what we've learned, I think, working with them, is obviously it's very different requirements, different interests than the other organizations. But what we offer is, we do not want to be the ones to, our team come in and write their history for them. We instead want to give their knowledge keepers the opportunity to share their own stories in their own words. And so this is really good for video tours, because then enough photo model doesn't work particularly well for Indigenous history, and doesn't reflect the vast scope and scale of it, and the way that knowledge is transferred. And what we were able to do is work with Indigenous knowledge keepers, and we've developed some wonderful relationships doing that. And we can showcase their Indigenous artists, businesses, initiatives they have, and help non-Indigenous locals better understand the Indigenous viewpoints and their connection to the land. And this is actually one that I learned as we were doing the project. We did a massive project in Nanaimo with this Nanaimo First Nation, and there's there's a lot of young kids are not that interested in becoming knowledge keepers in their own rights and learning all those stories. And so what we were able to do is we recorded many hours. I recorded many hours of interviews and of Dave Bodley and Sunemo knowledge keeper and elder, and we only used a small part of that we were given permission to use for the public facing side. The rest is for their, for internally for the Sunemo Nation to share, to their young people, but it's not meant for, like settlers and stuff. And so it was a great honor to be able to help participate in that. And I think that's something that, we developed, really strong practices, I think, working with them, working with Indigenous groups and developing those partnerships and that mutual trust in sharing knowledge. And we also have some pretty ironclad IP agreements that the Nanaimo's lawyers drew up that allow us to that we use as a model as well, so that we can respectfully and make sure that we are able to respect their knowledge, and stories. Here's an example of so one of the videos. So with Dave Bodley, we recorded. I followed him around. So this is in Nanaimo on the island of Sesutchin, and just followed him giving one of his tours that he gives at these kinds of typically, and then we cut it with all kinds of other footage.
Okay, I'm walking in the midst of where a longhouse was for the village, with the name I have to still come forward with. And inside this longhouse would have been an area of teaching, an area of medical, an area of gathering. Each night the families slept here. They would at the mornings roll up their mats because the house is used for other things throughout the day. And when they were here, they would watch in the springtime because there's herring come through here, and they would
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, don't have to go into all that now, but you can see, and also getting a lot better at video since then. Here's our partners in Duncan showing off one of our QR code scanners. Now, I feel like the QR codes is something that we kind of slept on for a long time. I was always skeptical of them, but after the pandemic, they really come back, and also because they are directly integrated into cameras now, phones cameras. You don't have to open a specific QR code app. They are much more effective now. And so what we've done is we built a QR code scanner that works. But basically, our QR codes work both if you don't have the app, but you see a QR code out in the street. It takes you to the website rather than forcing you to download the app, so that you can still see the content. Because a lot of people just are like, I'm not downloading an app to just look at something I'm only mildly interested in. So we want to get them on the website. They can view the content, and then they are prompted to download the app. And then there is an in-app scanner, which, as I've already mentioned, can be used for a whole variety of things. But it also is, the in-app experience is a lot better. So we are keen on that. And so actually, since we've since we launched the Duncan tour officially in last October. And since then, because of these QR codes, we haven't really promoted it on our end, outside of our, sales channels and stuff. But there are, we've had about 1,300 users out of this, which is quite impressive and good for, something that was not heavily promoted in the media and stuff. But I think that promotion will come in the, coming spring and summer. Here's another as well in Dawson Creek. They put up, so we worked with the city of Dawson Creek. They put up QR codes at all these different plaques that that kind of corresponded with the tour that we developed for them. It was a very comprehensive tour, 40 stops or so, but people can walk around town and view the then and now photos, and it's and that's been a huge bump in traffic for them as well. So we are really pleased to see that. So I'd just like to say we're going to try and push all of our partners to just start putting out QR codes because they work really well. Otherwise, if our partners are not promoting the app in their community, it's really hard to get people to know about it. It can just, it's there. If people are searching for that community's history, it'll show up, in Google near the top. But, people who are looking specifically for tours are, often not going to find it, I guess. We still have a lot of users out of it, but I'd say QR codes especially for smaller communities work wonders. And then finally, as I said, also with creating shareable experiences and all that. And we have, of course, the then and now camera. We got it going really well. So at every stop on the walking tour, standing in the foot of a historic photo. So it puts a ghost of the historic photo on the screen. So you can line it up, resize it, change the opacity on it, as you can see here. And so I try to line it up here and here. This is just, I did this Vancouver, I guess a little while ways back. And then it spits out a then and now comparison, which you can share. However, so it's like one on the top of the other. However, we've had that for a long time. But what we've done now is we rebuilt the camera editor. So it's very powerful. So here you can just create your own crossfades. And the idea is we want to get people creating their own, blending themselves into historic photos and then sharing that. And you can do it now easily within the app. Now this is coming out in a couple months, but it's basically, as you can see, it's basically done. We just have to fine tune it, and then it's all packaging everything together. But we are very excited about this, and most of our, we haven't focused so much on marketing to users because it's a difficult effort. I mean, it's just a lot of effort and on social media and stuff like that. But and our business works by going to going to people like you. So but we're gonna try really hard to start pushing this camera editor and people creating their own kinds of new images and sharing them and going out and taking them. Now we actually had the camera editor a long time ago, back when we first started, but it was kind of wonky, and the development, the app store guidelines, the firmware updates kind of rendered it obsolete, and it was a massive undertaking to get it back working again, and we just never got around to it. However, in that short period we did have it up and running, when we just had it in Vancouver, we quickly found that there was a whole group of high school kids in Vancouver who were going out and reshooting photos and putting themselves into historic photos. And this is this is way back in the day, and they were actually getting the camera to work well, and it was really impressive the work they were coming out with, and they were sharing it amongst themselves and sharing it online, and we're like, damn, there's potential here. So we are excited about this. Combined with everything else we're going to be rolling out, we think this will be great, and also for integrating with scavenger hunts getting people in your community out and talking about this and sharing it. So as I have alluded to, we are doing on the spot 2.0. Is basically, we're calling it 2.0 because we've been in business for 10 years, and the huge raft of changes and rethinks that we're doing is by far bigger than any. I mean, it'll be different, more different. From the app will be more different by this summer than it is now. Than it is now from 10 years ago. I think is fair to put it. So we're really excited about this. Will be the then and now camera and editor, the augmented reality history view, or this will be murals actually right now, but we'll be adding that. Scavenger hunts. We're also doing bike itineraries. And trail itineraries, which is a kind of a different kind of tour. I'm happy to discuss if anyone's interested. This enhanced QR code integration, and then this the partner. So every partner is going to get their own section of the app. It's not just city based now; it's partner based now. So that everyone can access their own material. A full portal of all their content on both the website and the app. So that and then with the CMS, you can fully control it and customize it. And we're gonna keep building that out until you can just be like a website for you if you like. And then we're lowering the bar so that historical societies especially can get on if they need to, and all these community engagement opportunities like the scavenger hunts with combining the QR codes and scavenger hunts. So that is all that we've been working on, or a lot of what we've been working on, and what I'm happy to be showing off. I guess I'm just right about on time, but no time for questions. But or there is time for questions, but I think that pretty much concludes for today. I know that went a little longer than I expected, but I hope you found that interesting. I hope you would like to work with us in the future. Please feel free to put in. I'll stick around for a bit. Feel free to drop in any questions that you have in the Q&A box. I'm so happy you're able to join us, and I'll be following up with you with a recording and And thank you for the clap. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, and yeah, I'll be following up with a recording and being able to I'd love to hear your thoughts, and as also because we're just building out on this Pod 2.0, and we are, we're a small, very flexible company. But a lot of these ideas and developments that have come that we are working on, and we, move the, beyond the then and now photo stuff, has come from listening to our partners and hearing what they wanted. And so if you have something that you want, we are happy to help. And that's it. Do you have examples of projects you developed with the federal government? Is one example. Now, so the federal government is kind of like Parks Canada is one of the obvious ones to work with. Okay, cool. Okay, so 2 questions. So first, from Melissa. So here, let me see. So we have not worked with the federal government directly. Sorry, I'm just bringing this up. But on behalf of Internment Canada, which was a basically like, founded by Parliamentary Act, the Canada First World War Internment Recognition Fund, we developed this. Now, this is our portal for Canada's First World War internment operations. And so for here, these are all tours that we wrote, right? And these are all like, I don't know, quite significant tours where we so multiple cities with and these walking tours, so and each one focused on a different aspect of the story. This one was it's audio in French and English.
Art, Bobby, for me.
Yeah, so you can see that. So yeah, that is pretty much the main example, but this is by far the biggest project we've ever done. It took several years of my life, more or less. That might be a bit of an overstatement, but but it was a major one. And so this is like the major example. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your questions, but I'm happy to discuss this further with you after. And then so Daniel, you asked about how the pricing model works. So the pricing model is based on they're basically, the main distinction is whether we're hosting material that you give us, or if we come out there and develop content for you. Now, sorry, be quiet, Gideon. Sorry, she just bothers me all day. And so there's if we host the content for you, we can do that very cheaply. If you have a scavenger hunt, basically we do it's included, but I believe right now it's we charge like a setup fee if it's just hosting, and then depending on the number of spots of tours you want, and then about $100 a month or something like that. And a lot of our contracts we sign are for just 3-year periods, and so for basic hosting, for hosting tours on your behalf, that comes out to about $6,000 over 3 years. But we can, depending on, then it can go up or down from there, depending on scale and your budgets and stuff like that. And then with the scavenger hunts as well, because we're kind of new to them, we're kind of figuring out the pricing of us developing them. But since it's kind of a demo time, and we want to just get some really good ones in the hopper that we can show off, as we're kind of offering them really, really cheaply right now. If you want us to come out and build some scavenger hunts, and then for projects that we develop, because we put so much work into them, there's our like a lot of TLC that goes into writing in these tours and doing the photography and stuff. If someone's not paying for a subscription fee, and that's difficult for a lot of partners because they are grant funded, well, we don't want to take it off the internet. And so we just charge a one-time fee for projects that we do. We may change this in the future. It's try to figure out a way to finesse that, but that's how things stand right now. So yeah, no, I mean, so I hope that answers your question. And yeah, let me know if you have any other questions, Daniel. Yeah, no, I'd be happy. Your app's available on US app stores as well as Canadian. Yep, they're the same app store. And we haven't region locked it. So, or at least I believe. Yeah, no, I think they're more or less the same app. So we're on Google and iOS, or Android and iOS, or the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. And it is available in the United States. We have one partner in the United States, Coconut Grove, BIA, which is just outside of Miami. We met them at a conference here, but we haven't really expanded into the United States. And obviously, we'd be happy to host material from there right now. But me going down there to work right now is a little dicey. So for various reasons. So we haven't been focusing on that. However, we, if the opportunity arises, we're happy to try it out. Yeah. And yes, it is available. And yeah, anyone can download the app. We get a lot of bot activity from China, so we noticed the other day. So we might be region locking it out of China, or Luzhou, China, one city in China. That is very bizarre and unexplained. But aside from that, no. Yeah, and I hope that answered your question. Yeah, no, and then like I said, I think Samantha, I saw you're from like a tour company. Yeah, like if you want to, if you have like guided, once again, yeah, if you have guided tours, I feel like we've spoken with a lot of tour operators, and they would like to have something where it's just an accompaniment as we're giving the tour and stuff. Anyway, this is something that we have been I'm quite well suited for, but we just haven't partnered with that many, specific tour operators yet. But we had a lot of interest, but none of them have just gone over the finish line. One of them asked for, if it's like a walking tour company, or like an individual gives walking tours, they requested like, say, their own kind of personal, like background information that they can offer, offer and read off to the people while they're walking around. It seemed a bit much, a bit challenging to develop, but an idea worth pursuing, if potentially. But yeah, no, we would love to. Anyway, I'd love to have a chat after this if you're interested. We are keen on working with some tour operators. Yeah, we do have an enormous number of US users as well. Yeah. So, and we we kind of write it as, we are Canadians. We write it as Canadian content and stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, say our Alaska highway tour I just rode was an almost, it was an American story basically. And yeah, no, we're happy to tell it, and yeah. Anyway, thank you, Danielle. Yeah, no, I'd love to chat with you as well. I think that was a pleasure. And thank you so much for the questions, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Anyway. But yeah, I'll just stay on for a couple more minutes if there's any more questions.